Hey guys, thanks for joining. I've seen a lot of tutorials on the Deluge on YouTube and a lot of people walking through how they like to use this instrument to make music. I've had the Deluge for about a year and I can honestly say it's one of the most inspiring instruments that I've ever purchased in the last decade. And part of that has to do with the way that the Deluge is not just laid out, but with everything that it comes with. So when you think about buying a groove box or a synthesizer or any instrument really, usually it's a one-trick pony. You have guitars, which are a string instrument. You have synthesizers, which usually have one or a couple of oscillators and a specific sound. You have drum machines and various other instruments. Usually you buy those to do a specific thing. And the wonderful thing about the Deluge is that you get a lot of that in one instrument. You get synth engine, you get kits, you can even control MIDI and have CV. So it's actually a wonderful all-in-one kind of box. That being said, it can look pretty intimidating. I know the first time I saw this, I thought there's no way that I can learn how to use this thing. It just looks crazy and there's too much going on, and where do I even start? It's hard enough to learn synthesis when you aren't sure about what an oscillator is, but honestly, once I got it, it was so inspiring, and every time I sit down to it, I make something that came out of nowhere. So I wanted to walk you through a little idea that I had put together that I kind of like the vibe about, just to show you my thought process when I start a track from nothing. So in this particular track, I had one idea, which was just this kick drum that's not 4 on the floor, but it's a double 4 on the floor, like this. Just a very basic kind of double 4 on the floor. There's a little scratchy sound in there that I will come back to and explain what that is in just a minute. But that was the impetus for everything you heard in the intro track. Now, after I had that, I thought I wanted some kind of plucky sound to go along with it. I'm a big fan of boards of Deluge. If you haven't checked them out and you have a Deluge, you absolutely should. The guy makes amazing sounds, really knows how to use this machine. Obviously, you can make these yourself, and I do a lot of the time, but scrolling through some presets, I found a sound that I really liked. I typically don't like to use the sound as is. I'll do things like detune them or add delay, roll some cutoff, add some modulation, things like that to make it a little bit different. This particular one was a good place to start. So as you can hear, I added a little bit of delay. If you push the cutoff button and then you push this green knob, you can take you through high pass, EQ, which this is the treble, this is bass, and low pass. So I had it on a high pass and I just rolled off a little there. So now we have this kick and we have a little bit of a plucky sound. The next thing obviously is bass. I have a Moog Minotaur just off of screen right here. I started playing with that with my Arturia key step 37 and came up with a line that I liked, but that I decided after I laid it down that I didn't want it to be the bass track. So I did a couple of things. This is actually the waveform view because I recorded the sound into the Deluge, and I'll tell you how to do that in just a second if you haven't learned that yet. But the first thing I did was I came in to the cutoff, again, pressed this gold knob, went to the high pass, and I rolled off some low end because I wanted to save the low end for the bass line that I'm going to show you in just a second. Wanted to make that very simple, just whole notes so that it didn't get in the way and that this lower lead line could actually shine a little bit. I didn't do much to that. Again, I recorded the audio in. The Deluge is very portable, and sometimes I want to pick it up and take it somewhere and possibly work on this track. And if I don't have my Minotaur with me, which I probably won't, then I have a track without a bass line. So typically when I get an idea that I like on one of my other pieces of gear, whether that's my Minotaur or my 3-tier Moog setup with the DFAM, Subharmonicon, and Mother 32, I will then record that audio into the Deluge on its own separate track. And the way to do that is a couple of ways. The first thing is you have to set up an audio clip. And the way you do that, you go to an empty row, we'll say this row, push any pad in this row, and then push down on the main select knob, and it'll change it to audio. Once it's changed to audio, you want to change the input to left with a dot. So you hold down learn input, press any pad in this row. Right now I have it set to off, but I'll turn it to left with a dot. The dot means monitoring. So if I want to hear myself, I put the dot on. If I don't, I can put the dot off. I'll turn it off right now. And when you set it to left with the dot, the reason you are hearing me on the Deluge is because it's monitoring this microphone that's built into the Deluge. Obviously, if I was recording something in, whether that's a guitar or a piece of modular gear, I would run to the line in, and that's what it would default to, the line in. I'll go ahead and delete this by pressing any pad in the row and press delete. And now it's gone. Okay, back to our track. So we've gone through the pluck, we've gone through the kick drum, and we've gone through the bass lead line and the bass. It's pretty low endy, so the first thing I thought of was a synthesizer. So this synth was really used as a bed. So I have one note covering the entire length, acting as a bed. I have a lead aspect up here, and really I should probably get rid of it, and I eventually probably will, but I like it for now, so I'm going to leave it. But it's acting mostly as a bed, and you can see that one thing I did was I panned all the way to the left, but I added some delay as ping pong, and the way you change ping pong is by pushing down on this gold knob, the delay time gold knob. It'll be normal, or you can push again and it'll be ping pong. So I pan it to the left and then add some ping pong to give it a little bit of stereo width. And the way I solo, by the way, is you hold down left right knob, hold down shift, and the launch pad of the row that you want to solo. Again, a little bit of panning, some delay, some reverb, that's it. All right, now that we've got our bass, we've got some synths going on, we've got a kick drum, we've got our pluck line, everything's sounding good. Now I needed to add a little bit of humanity into this because it's very stiff. So the next thing I did was I found a vocal line. A lot of times I'll record these and just cut them up and add in a piece. This particular one I just happened to stumble upon in some of my samples that I had, and I really liked it a lot. So hopefully you can hear a lot of ping-ponging, a lot of left-right kind of stuff. So I do that on purpose. I really like to pan something and then add some kind of delay that happens on the other side. It makes my ear think about width, so I like to do that. This next track is actually the same as the first one. It's just an octave higher. Repeating this line can get very repetitive, and I wanted some place to go. So as I added a few more tracks after this, and I kept that same sound in that octave, I felt like it was going to get a little stale. So a really easy way to make something feel a little bit different is to raise it an octave. Even if you're doing the same exact thing, it just feels like something different is happening. Just a little trick there for a change when there really isn't a change. It just feels different. That's great. I got a little humanity in this with some voice, still not enough. So I decided to plug in my acoustic guitar directly into the line in and record that. This is the waveform view of the first piece, and this is the waveform view of the second. They're pretty quiet. That's why the waveform looks a little low like that. So this first one, it's only a few notes, and I reversed it. So let me show you what it actually sounds like forward. This next line is chords. And as you can hear, I also pan those as well. So you'll hear this top line on the left, you'll hear the bottom line on the right. So I'm going to go back into this track and reverse it again, like I had before. So now this is reversed and it sounds like this. So on this, I have a little bit of delay. I have a lot of reverb, rolled off a little bit of the top end, and panned it hard left. This other track you heard was chords, so let's hear what this both sounds like together, just the guitars. Just makes it a little bit more interesting. And this is the other really cool thing about the Deluge, is that you can take something that sounds normal, like this, and you can make it sound much more interesting by doing just something in 3 seconds like this. So cool. All right, the last thing I wanted to touch on was just a little bit about how I set things up when I'm actually going to perform. So when I have a piece of music that I've actually created on the Deluge, and I'm going to want to perform it live or for video or something like that, I like to have it from the top down. So I'll start with the first track that I want to start with in the performance. I'll go to the next one, go to the next one. It doesn't always have to be in exact order, but it's usually from the top down. So maybe I'll start with the pluck sound, add the kick drum and this lead bass line. Also, it gives me the chance to decide, do I want to skip a few tracks? Do I want to just go straight down? And then as I'm closing out a song, if I want to start removing tracks, I can go from the bottom up. Usually after performing a few times, just in practice, I'll figure out a structure that I like. And if you have a structure that you like in a performance and you want to record it onto the Deluge, you can. You press the song button and that blinks. This is the arranger view where you can actually add in different pieces or to each song, and it'll play through like a song, add things in. It looks very much like a DAW. You have separate tracks, or you can actually record into this by pressing record and song. And then as I'm adding in tracks, it will record it into arranger view. So if I go to arranger view, here's my performance. That's really it, guys. I just wanted to show you a little bit of my thought process in creating a track. It can be anything that you want it to be. Start with something that you think might seem familiar and then try to break it. I really like doing that with the Deluge, and it really lends itself to doing exactly that. Synthstrom is wonderful about updating firmware. They've actually recently announced that they are updating the screen to an OLED screen. That's cool, and I'm definitely going to do that. However, I'm going to be honest, I like this screen. I think that the whole point of having a screen that looks like this is so that I am not wondering, is that the right exact amount of the LFO to add? Should it be 15% or should it be 20? Who cares? How does it feel? That's the whole point. This screen really forces that. It forces you to think, what does this sound like? Not how much randomization am I putting on my LFO, etc. That being said, I am going to upgrade because it just looks cool. All right, guys, that's it. I hope you got something out of this. If you like this, I'll do more of these as I write new tracks. This was just fun to actually talk through everything because I don't typically do that. I just like talking about this stuff. So if you like it, please subscribe, hit the notification bell. All that stuff really helps, and I'd appreciate it. Until next time, peace.